genre.
Welcome back to The Doctor's Companion presents Doctor Who The Long Way Around, the weekly podcast where we review and discuss every episode of Doctor Who one doctor at a time. I'm Scott Corelli.
I'm Cassandra Fredrickson.
And I'm Nick Jimenez.
And today on the show, we are finishing our discussion of Genesis of the Daleks, the Fourth Doctor's fourth story with parts 4 through 6.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just jump right into it, huh?
Genesis of the Daleks Part 4. Written by Terry Nation. Directed by David Maloney. Produced by Philip Hinchcliffe. Script edited by Robert Holmes. Air date March 29th, 1975. The Doctor wakes in the control room of the Thal Dome, where a screen shows the chemical bombardment on the Khaled Dome. The Thals fire the rocket they were preparing and observe as the rival base is blown up. The Thals are joyous that peace has finally been won and free all the prisoners, including the Doctor. In the Khaled bunker, Davros plans revenge and frames Ronson as a Thal spy. Ronson is quickly exterminated by a Dalek, and Davros declares the Daleks the supreme conquerors of the universe. Davros tells Garman, another scientist, to add new variations to the Daleks' genetic structure. Garman observes that these changes will make the Daleks devoid of pity, morality, or conscience. Davros calls them improvements, which greatly disturbs Garman. The Daleks, under orders from Davros, appear in the Thal Dome and start exterminating people. The Doctor and a Thal woman flee the attack. He tells her to rally together any survivors and destroy the dome with the Daleks inside, while he heads back to the bunker to retrieve his time ring. He is attacked by Mutos, but Sarah Jane, Harry, and Severin save him. They had not reached the Khaled bunker before the explosion. Meanwhile, Garman is trying to convince a fellow scientist that the Daleks must be stopped and is overheard by Niter. Niter confesses that he believes Davros has gone too far and convinces Garman to meet with him. During the meeting, Garman tells Niter the names of those who oppose Davros, only for Davros to appear. Niter knocks Garman unconscious as the Doctor, Harry, and Sarah Jane emerge from a ventilation shaft right in front of Davros and are captured. Davros interrogates the Doctor, demanding to know everything the Doctor knows about the Daleks and their weaknesses. When the Doctor refuses, Sarah Jane and Harry are tortured in front of him as Davros demands answers.
So the Doctor got electrocuted.
Mm-hmm.
And then he wakes up and he's in the control room of that dome, that tall dome.
Right.
Not tall with an H.
Right. The Thal. Yeah.
The Thal.
Yeah. I just overall, I just really like how into the Daleks Davros is.
Yeah.
Oh, he loves them.
He just loves them. He just thinks they are the greatest thing.
I love these stupid fat robots.
he's like that, he's very much like, I want to see some sort of meme of like, don't talk to me or my children ever again.
Son ever again.
Don't talk to me or my Daleks ever again.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that's all it is like everyone keeps criticizing his Daleks. He's like, no.
They're beautiful.
Yeah.
Papa David says we're beautiful.
He even sounds like a Dalek though when he's like screaming.
Oh yeah, when he tells them to exterminate Ronson, he says it like a Dalek.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. They learned it from watching him.
We learned it by watching you, Papa Darby.
So I love that. I love that the Thal army or whatever are calling Davros a hero for being a traitor to the
for
to
like
his
double
people.
crossing the Khalids. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the doctor's just like, no, he's a monster.
God, can you imagine if these guys had Twitter?
I know. He's gonna betray you. And she's like, I mean, look, you might be able to convince me, but I'm not going to be able to convince anyone else. So, oh well. And she just like shrug face and walks out of the room. And it's like, man, all right, cool, cool.
Yeah, they're celebrating. Like they reminded me of the like when the X-wing pilots get back from Yavin 4 or get back to Yavin 4. They're like slapping each other's shoulders and like hugging.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very provocative that to show like, like happy war, end of war imagery, but revealing how like hollow that can be.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, it's sort of, it's weirdly, I mean, granted, like in our world history, there was another world war between this and that, but it really does feel like we ended the World War, and now it was sort of transitioning into the Cold War, because it turns into all like lies and espionage and blackmail and stuff,
like paranoia,
right?
Yeah, because there's like literally like a Deep Throat scene in this,
that
I would swear they filmed in an actual parking garage.
It's like they shoved. It's kind of like they just do like a cursory recap of the 20th century in this story.
Yeah.
Like Scarro just goes through all of 20th century history in like an afternoon.
That's awful.
Basically.
Sounds like the worst afternoon ever.
Yeah. I think that's putting it lightly. I also love that Harry's go-to fighting move, like when the mutants are going to attack Sarah and just chop her up, or no, the doctor, gonna chop up the doctor, right? And his move is to bear hug them out of the way.
It's the ultimate like 70s.
He's a lover, not a fighter.
Yeah. Just gives him a big bear hug, moves them off to the side, and then they run away because mutants aren't used to human affection.
I've always wanted. Longtime listeners of the show have known about my goal to hug a Dalek, but to hug and pick up and move a Dalek would be even better.
I think they're too heavy for that.
That'd be great if Harry was just like, no, you won't put me down.
We need the Native American guy from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest to go and like, lift up a Dalek.
Oh my god, a Dalek Nurse Ratched.
Oh wow,
God,
a Dalek with looks just like a little nurse hat.
Yes, yes. The Doctor, played by Jack Nicholson.
Nope.
That'd be great.
No. Nope.
No.
I think that's another secret to why the Daleks are so delightful is they're very fussy.
They are.
They are very easily like frustrated.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think that's a big part of it. But they're stupid looking, so that makes them kind of cute.
Yeah.
They are. It is kind of the same thing you get when you like, that your cat hates wearing like a little hat or like mittens.
Yeah.
But you just like do it anyway, and you're like, the fun is watching them be like, why? Stop. No.
Why did you do this? Why?
No.
I think from now on, I'm going to talk to like all the cats in my life in a Dalek voice.
Oh, absolutely.
Hello.
Oh, that would be great if you open up a Dalek and it's just like a cat, like an orange, like Maine Coon.
It's just Crookshanks.
Now you know my secret.
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah, Mrs. Crookshanks sucked.
Speaking of like the good direction in this,
Mrs. Crookshanks.
speaking of the
like she was a member of the faculty too.
Well, she would have been a professor if that were the
Professor
case.
Crookshanks.
But speaking of, well, you were just confusing. You were just mixing Crookshanks and what's his name?
Mrs. Norris.
Yeah, Mrs. Norris. You were combining them in your brain. But no, speaking of like the really good direction in this and like cool looking shots that Cass was talking about last week, I really love the Deep Throat sequence and the way that it's directed with like all the cool shadow and like you don't ever really get a good shot of Davros. Like you just see him like rolling through the shadows and being like good.
Yeah. He really does have like a Doctor Strangelove vibe in this.
He does, or an Emperor Palpatine for sure.
Yeah, just silently, like completely acting in his own self-interest.
Mm-hmm.
Just unabashedly calculating against his own people.
Yeah, I specifically wrote down that shot of the Daleks coming around, like out of the doorway right before they kill off the scientist guy. And like you see the shadow on the wall before you see the actual Dalek. And somehow the shadow of a Dalek is always scarier than seeing the actual thing.
Oh, yeah.
And somehow I can tell you how.
But they like knew that from the beginning. Like that's always been like a Dalek thing.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, there's that great at the end of The Beast Below where Winston Churchill's like, well, you better get here fast. And you see the outline of a Dalek.
Yeah.
What makes, because I said last week that I thought the Daleks were very effectively used in this. And I think the reason for that is like, Davros using them as a weapon is so much scarier than them like acting on their own volition. Because by themselves, like we know they're deeply bad at communicating with each other and like accomplishing goals.
Right.
But Davros pointing at them and saying like, hey, feed. And they're just like, okay. And like nothing you can do or say can stop them is pretty effective. And like, they really like the helplessness of Ronson at the end is I think effectively like scary in a monster movie way.
Yeah, definitely. I really like. I honestly I can't believe that Garmin fell for Niter's trickery. Like, come on, dude! Like that guy is evil incarnate. Like, how could you ever trust him to think that he's on your side? And he like literally is like, I feel this way. I feel that Davros has lost his mind, and he's like, I have also felt the same way. And Niter's like, yes, perhaps we should talk about it in an abandoned parking garage down
in great detail.
In great detail.
I really loved the scene where Garmin's like, but if you add these variations to the Daleks' genetic structure, they won't have any empathy or conscience. And Davros is like, yes, it will be good. And Garmin's like, all right. No red flags, like at all.
No, he just loves the Daleks so much.
That does raise an interesting question. Did the Daleks prior to this mutation, did the Daleks that we see have the capability of conscious morality and pity? Because that's fascinating.
I don't know.
The idea that there was at one point a Dalek who theoretically you could rationalize with.
I know they've played with it. Again, Big Finish has done Dalek stories where they've given Daleks their emotions back, and it's bananas.
Well, because isn't the first instance of that in the Second Doctor, like the David Whittaker stuff?
Oh yeah, right. I guess that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's true.
I'm sad that doesn't exist because. I want to see some Daleks playing hopscotch or whatever they do. They like play tag or whatever.
Oh, there
Yeah.
should totally be like an angel of the
Well, there-
Daleks.
There's that rumor though, Cass, that they've found that story and they just haven't. They're waiting to announce it until it's closer to its 50th anniversary of its release,
Oh
which
my
would
God.
be like next year, I
That's
think.
so good.
Yeah,
They
They're-
found
yeah,
Evil
that's-
of the Daleks.
That's like a legitimate rumor that they've found like half of that story or like 3/4 of it, and they're animating the
Dude.
rest of it. And
Yes. That's awesome. Thank you
Yeah.
for making my
Yeah.
day.
yeah. I mean, I didn't find it. I'm just relaying information.
Right.
I wish I found it.
It's like, hey, I found Evil of the Daleks.
Yeah. But yeah, no, these man, I love Emperor Palpatine, Davros, and
Mhm.
just loving
How
the
will,
Dalek.
how will you do? Is this where we go into the Doctor being interrogated, or is that part 5?
That's part 5.
It's at the end of this one.
Okay. Oh, right. Yeah. Because the cliffhanger is like him starting to like you have to
Yeah.
tell me.
Right.
Oh yeah. So I think this is my favorite scene in the special. That's not what it is in the story.
Mhm.
But like, yeah. So the Doctor gets captured, but more importantly, Harry and Sarah Jane get captured, and Davros is like, where are you from? And the Doctor's like, I'm from the future, where like the Daleks have been. They're like the most horrifying thing ever. They're so evil, and Davros is like, good. And the Doctor's like, well, he's like, well, why are you still here then? And the Doctor's like, well, I've defeated them. And just the Doctor slowly realizing that everything he's been telling Davros, rather than giving him doubt, is actually feeding him and
Yeah.
making him more manic and more like committed to his mission, was so effective.
Yeah.
And that to me really cinched like Davros as a character and how he is going to ride his ambition into the sun.
Yeah.
And he's like, you will tell me how they were defeated so that they
Mhm.
won't be defeated. And the Doctor's like, oh, piss. And then it ends.
It's kind of a cool sort of like companion scene to like his scenes with Davros when the 12th Doctor is with him.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Um
Moffat.
oh. Okay, you're just saying his name. I thought you were
Well, no. It was like, that's, I wonder how, I wonder if he did go back. I wonder if he was thinking about Genesis of the Daleks when he was writing like the Witch's Familiar and the Magician's
Oh, I
Apprentice.
absolutely think he was, and that's next episode. But yeah.
Oh, sick. Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right.
Genesis of the Daleks, Part 5. Written by Terry Nation, directed by David Maloney, produced by Philip Hinchcliffe, script edited by Robert Holmes. Air date, April 5th, 1975. Davros increases the power on the torture devices, and the Doctor reluctantly starts answering his questions. Afterwards, Sarah Jane and Harry are taken to a cell, but Davros wants to speak with the Doctor privately. During their conversation, the Doctor asks a hypothetical question. If he had invented a virus that would wipe out all life in the universe, would he use it? Davros considers and decides that yes, he would, since to use it would make him the most powerful being in the universe. Sufficiently convinced that Davros is mad, the Doctor grabs his arm and threatens to turn off his life support chair if he does not order the immediate destruction of the Dalek mutants. Niter enters and knocks the Doctor out before Davros can give the final order. Niter takes the Doctor to the prison cells, but he is freed by Garmin, Sarah Jane, and Harry. Harry tries to capture Niter, but he runs away. Now the Doctor has to retrieve two things, the time ring and Davros' recording of the Doctor's knowledge of the Daleks' future. The Daleks in the Thal Dome eliminate everyone still inside and are ordered back to the bunker. Garmin's supporters clash with Davros' supporters, but Davros quickly surrenders. Garmin tells Davros to stop the work on the Daleks immediately. Davros agrees, but wants to call together a meeting of all the remaining science and security officials to vote on the subject. Meanwhile, the Doctor finds explosives and detonators and decides to finish the job once and for all. He is going to destroy the Dalek mutants himself. Sarah Jane and Harry wait in the hallway as the doctor sets the charges in the incubator room, and he suddenly emerges being strangled by one of the Dalek mutants.
So, episode 5 starts with Davros increasing the power on the torture devices and making the doctor like answer his questions, and the doctor just starts being like, "Yeah, so okay, so like the first time when they invaded
stairs,
when
they
invaded Earth in 1960, blah blah blah, they tried to."
Tried to make Earth into a spaceship.
Yeah, they tried to drive the planet through the solar system. I was like, guys, that's really dumb, and I won.
Joyride. Take it easy.
No joyrides. Check.
Yeah, him just listing the cornucopia of ways that these stupid idiots have been like defeated over it was just so satisfying.
It really was. It's so good. This story is like really good because, or this episode in particular is really good because this is when we start like getting into all of those sort of moral questions about like what the doctor is there to do and what Davros is trying to do, and like the idea of like that these two people are they are completely opposite as far as like one is evil and one is good, but they're both sort of doing the same thing. Like they're both there to do the same thing. And that sort of philosophical conundrum is just, I mean, it's exactly what you get out of the Robert Holmes era and why it's so special. Is that, he looked at this stupid show with these bad science fiction effects and was like, well, you don't have to make it about the effects. You can make it about all these philosophical issues and make it a real science fiction show.
Right.
Despite the fact that like the budget is so low. And he turned Doctor Who into something really special. And this is one of those episodes where that happens.
Yes.
And there is, and it's so apparent in this episode as well what, like this has been said over and over again, but the best villains are the ones that are kind of a dark mirror image of your protagonist. And there is a very cold and yet sound logic to what Davros is saying. I mean, there's this moment where the doctor's like, please, you have to see how this is bad. And it's like, no, Davros is like, no, like you don't get it. Like when there will never be peace within species. There will always be conflict. There will always be war. There will always be pain. The only way to suppress it is if there's only one species and they're the best. And once there's one just group of people in charge, only then can there be peace. And that's like bonkers, but there's also a bunch of evidence to that being true. Yeah. And it's you have to look at it through the logic of a sociopath, but there is it's logic nonetheless. And you have to imagine in like a cold universe of just Daleks floating through space, there wouldn't be a lot of war. Well, I mean, have we seen that? Have the Daleks like ultimately turned against each other? Have we seen
have they ever done that? Have the Daleks ever gone to war? God, that'd be a hell of a story, wouldn't it? Mm-hmm. Like the Dalek Civil War. Like imagine if you saw that on the list of titles for a season.
Dalek Civil War.
I think the extent of that happening was like, is it Victory of the Daleks? I think like when they unlock the whatever magical space thing that makes the Daleks, and then they're like, oh, you're inferior, and they're like, oh yeah, you're right, just blow us up.
Mm-hmm. Right. There's almost too much logic. You would have to fundamentally change half of the Dalek race in order for that to work.
Yeah, like one would have to hear Abbey Road. Right. Beautiful.
Yeah, no, this story is like super, super iconic. And like, I feel like the virus monologue that Davros does in this episode is one of those moments. And then the doctor with the wires in the next one, which is what I was thinking about.
The virus scene is so perfect because like you can see Tom Baker being like, isn't that amazing? And through all the makeup, you can Davros is just getting like almost like hungry at the thought.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, yes, I would do it. Doctor's like, this completely backfired.
Well, but he does come to the realization that the only way to do what he has come here to do is a complete Dalek genocide.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the fact that the Doctor recognizes the weight of that decision is, again, what makes him such an interesting protagonist in science fiction.
Mm-hmm.
But not in this episode. In this episode, he just
the next one.
Yeah. In this episode, he just makes the decision.
Yeah, he's like, I'm going to blow these guys up. Let's get some explosives. Let's do the thing.
Kill them all.
Yeah.
And then he goes into the weird like gack. Remember like those weird. Remember when in the 90s when they're like, oh yeah, slimes.
Yeah.
Slimes and gushing slimes and putties.
Yeah.
So the Doctor like finds that room and some weird Dalek embryos.
He finds the set of "You Can't Do That on Television."
Oh God.
Secret word. Secret word.
Another thing that I like though about the Doctor in this is like directly paired with Davros's just crazy megalomaniacal, that's a hard word, like monologue. Then you have him like using Davros's life support system as like a torture device. Like he's got him he's just like, hey, kill all the Daleks. Like he doesn't want to be the one to do it, but it's still kind of really messed up that he's even yeah. I like the fact that those two scenes are like back to back because they really are two sides of the same coin.
Yeah, it's really good. These last two episodes are really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it definitely ends on a high note, which is always good.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's talk about episode 6.
Genesis of the Daleks, Part 6. Written by Terry Nation, directed by David Maloney, produced by Philip Hinchcliffe, script edited by Robert Holmes. Air date April 12th, 1975. Sarah Jane and Harry help the Doctor, and he tosses the Dalek mutants back into the room. Now, all he has to do is touch 2 wires together and the Daleks will be destroyed, but he hesitates and considers whether or not he has the right to commit genocide. If he exterminates them all, he is no better than a Dalek. Garmin approaches and tells them that Davros has agreed to their ultimatum. The Doctor is relieved that the final decision no longer falls on him, and they all go to the meeting. Once there, they pick up all the Doctor's confiscated belongings, including the time ring. Meanwhile, the Daleks re-enter the bunker, secretly trailed by the remaining Thal rebels. They set up explosives to collapse the bunker and seal off the Daleks from the outside world forever. During the vote, Niter leaves the room. The Doctor and his companions follow him and attempt to stop him. During the tussle, the Doctor accidentally drops the time ring. The Doctor makes Niter show them where the tape recording is being kept, and the Doctor destroys it with a Dalek weapon. Niter escapes once again and locks them in the room. When the Doctor suggests leaving with the time ring, it is discovered that he no longer has it. They watch on screen as the vote takes place, and Davros orders the Daleks to kill those who would oppose him. Severin frees the Doctor and his companions and warns them of the Thal explosives. The Doctor gives the time ring to Sarah Jane and Harry and tells them to save themselves. He is going back to the incubator room to finish what he started. However, he is unable to connect the wires because of a sudden onslaught of Daleks in the hallway. The Doctor flees as a Dalek unknowingly runs over the 2 wires connecting the circuit and blowing up the incubator room. Meanwhile, the Daleks are beginning to resist Davros's commands. They have started the assembly line to create more Daleks. Davros tells Niter to stop the line, but Niter is exterminated by a Dalek. The Doctor makes it to safety just in time, and the Thal explosives go off, sealing the bunker. Inside, the Daleks defy Davros and no longer recognize him as their leader. They exterminate all of the remaining Khaled scientists, and Davros reaches to press the button that would destroy the Daleks for good, but they also shoot him. Outside, the Doctor and his companions say their goodbyes and use the time ring to travel through time and space back to the TARDIS. Yeah, so... Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
The thing that made me draw the most, like, Peter Capaldi, like, Stephen Moffat parallels was his speech here, where he's like, he's talking to Sarah Jane, and she's just like, Doctor, the Daleks are evil, you gotta, like, blow them up. And he's just kind of meditating with the wires, and he's like, could you do it? And then there's the question that he asks, if you saw a child that you knew would be, like, you know, the inventor of these horrible things. And then literally in that Capaldi episode, like, he sees young Davros. So
right.
I definitely, absolutely think that he was drawing from this, especially this moment in particular, because it's like literally, like, the Doctor's telegraphing what happens to him like 10 regenerations later. So
yeah.
I thought that was really cool and like a really good tie-in to that story, which is why I don't think I agree with you that Davros shouldn't have come back, because I don't know, I really liked that episode, and I thought that the use of
I'm not saying that I don't like episodes that he has come back in.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is that I don't think it was necessary for him to ever come back. That's all I was saying.
I think I like when Davros is used well, because it forces these moments, like these philosophical things, because they, like, the Doctor, it's like the Doctor going up against the Master, like the Doctor is seeing another version of what he might become if he goes too far.
Right.
So I like various, I don't know.
But yeah, so I guess in the end, for all of his hemming and hawing, I mean, not to, because it was totally justified, but the Doctor does ultimately come to a decision about Dalek genocide, Dalekian genocide.
Right.
Well, no, this is Scarovian genocide.
This is like a really important moment, because it sets the stage for the Time War.
Yeah.
Like, this is the event that causes it. Right? Am I right? Am I remembering that correctly? Isn't this the event that causes it's the thing that they always bring up a lot during the Time War stuff.
Yeah, I think because if the Doctor hadn't killed off all the Daleks, like, there wouldn't be a Time War. So I guess in that, yeah.
No, but didn't they, like, find out about what he was sent there to do, and that's what they went to Gallifrey to, like,
maybe
stop,
like, kill them all over or something?
I think so.
The Doctor pretty directly caused the Time War.
I seem to remember that being the case.
I've never thought of that. I mean, I've never considered that possibility, but that makes so much sense that he would be the one to, like, stir that hornet's nest.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, what a dick.
Not real, because it's not really his fault. He just didn't kill them. It was the Time Lords that made him go and do it.
Right.
So they still, they started a war with the right people, I guess, technically.
Couldn't ask for a better species to go to war.
It's true. We didn't even talk about the Doctor's fancy time bracelet that he's been trying to get back all these episodes.
Oh, true.
Because the Time Lord dude at the beginning, like, took away his TARDIS because he was like, you don't need your TARDIS because you're not allowed to leave. You're already here. You don't need to go anywhere.
Oh, right. I love that. Like, no, you're on Skaro.
Yeah. So take this time bracelet and use it to get back to your TARDIS when you're done here. And then he gets it confiscated. And he gets it back at the end. And it's basically like, I mean, it's a port key, right? I mean,
yeah, pretty much.
Sure. It's basically a port key.
It's like a interdimensional or intergalactic,
planetary.
Yeah. It's a Beastie Boy.
Yeah.
No, but like they all hold on to it and they spin around like off into the ether, just
so
like
good.
like in
It's-
Goblet of Fire.
It's one of the weirdest images I've seen on this show.
It's pretty weird.
It looks like the final scene of like a music video.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It does.
Them just like
It's-
slowly drifting off into space.
It gets, I think the Mind Robber gets weirder. With its visuals. But
Yes.
but this one's of the ones that we've watched so far, this is definitely the weirdest. It's certainly the weirdest ending of any story we've seen, I think.
Yeah, I love the
Mhm.
Dalek just breaking the fourth wall and being like, ah ha ha, like, we won. And this is the
Yeah.
beginning. Like, I thought I was going to name drop the episode
Yeah.
constantly.
This truly was the Genesis of
Right.
the Daleks.
Yeah.
I just love that Davros is like, literally over the course of the story, he's like, okay, so in the beginning, he's like, well, we need to kill all the Thals, and then just for good measure, we should probably kill all the Muties too. And then like later, he's just like, well, I'm fine with killing the Khaleds if it means that the Daleks are okay.
Right.
He's like, you know what? Let's just kill everybody. He's like, yeah, we're gonna kill everybody. Like I don't like by the time you get to this last episode, he's just like, yeah, no, just me and the Daleks. And the Daleks are like, actually,
Just the Daleks, you mean?
just us. Yeah.
Like I told Lady Freeze when I pulled her plug, this is a one-woman show.
Oh wow. That's if it wouldn't blow out my microphone right now, I'd give you like a standing ovation.
Oh my god.
That was excellent.
Always.
Good work. Yeah, I just I love the Daleks turning on Davros. I really love it. Like he made them too good.
Yeah, it's just so narratively perfect and simple.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's real good. How does he get out of this situation, Cass? Because obviously they don't kill him because he comes back.
I think he's
or
like,
do they? And he's like a clone.
no, they don't kill him. I think they like stun him or something, and then they have him in like
Sleep,
this,
Papa Davy.
yeah, they have him in like this weird cryo chamber, right? Because then he like shows up again with what is it? Remembrance?
Is that the first time he's back? Remembrance? That's the Seventh Doctor one, yeah.
I don't remember if he's in Revelation, which is the sixth one. I blocked a lot of that story out of my brain, and I watched it
That's
forever ago.
That's fair.
But I definitely remember him in the McCoy one.
Yeah, he's definitely in Remembrance.
Yeah, I think there's like that weird Dalek cryo thing, and they're like, "What's in the thing?" And then like he rolls out, and it's Davros, and he's like, "I survived," and I think,
I survived.
yeah.
I survived.
All right.
I don't. It's been a really long time since I've watched the other Dalek stories, so
Sure.
don't quote me on that. But
Well, this was just fun's the wrong word, but it was very nourishing.
Mm-hmm. It's a really nice change of pace, I imagine, for you, Nick, because as you said, I think in last week's episode, you kind of come into these classic Who episodes with the understanding of like, yeah, I'm going to have fun watching this sort of cheesy, campy show.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get an episode like this where it's like, oh, this show back then was capable of being something more than that.
yeah,
Right, yeah. Like even back then there were blinks or there were yeah, you know, I drew a blank, but like, you know, episodes that do make you think about the world we live in.
mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also, I love the whole, speaking of like of campy stuff, there is that one moment in this where you're just like, wow, this poor show is so cheap. When they're needing to get into the vault and it's like literally already open and he has to go over there and like pretend that he's putting in a combination but like not do it too forcibly as to accidentally open the door further, because it's obviously already just hanging open on the wall.
Yeah, I just keep thinking about Harry having to like a pair of pants drag the clam like further and further.
Yeah,
No,
that's really good too.
I think my
On
favorite...
top of everything else, there's an angry clam in this
Right?
story.
yeah. Cass, what was your favorite part?
Oh,
you
my
said?
favorite part of this episode in particular is when Niter just leaves. Like he just makes a break for the door, and it's so funny because it's so quick, but it's like so effective. He just like sprints out of the room, and it's hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
But
he shuts the door behind them, and Harry's literally just like, "Well, he got away.
We're trapped." Yeah.
We did all we could.
We did all we could, but he shut the door.
Oh
so.
man, I love Doctor
Well,
Who.
let's all raise a glass to those Alaskan Malamutes of evil.
I love them.
Yeah,
they're so stupid.
I love the Daleks.
All right, well, that's Genesis of the Daleks. Very, very good Doctor Who story. I'm not sure if it might be in top 10, maybe.
Ooh,
entirely possible.
That's hard.
Ooh.
Yeah, it is hard, but it's entirely possible that this could be up there because it's just so important and lofty and good.
Top 20 for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Top 20, maybe top 10. It's a real good one.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of real good ones, next week we're coming back to talk about The Visitation, which is a 5th Doctor story, and it's real good. It's fun and silly and goofy.
Yeah, it's real good in all the ways that Nick has seen previously, like silly, campy Doctor Who.
Right.
Like I couldn't remember the name of the episode a couple of days ago, and I just call it the one with the disco robots.
Yep.
Oh, good.
So that'll be fun.
Yeah. Yep. Disco robots and barns.
Yep. And mouth breathing villain. So.
Oh yeah. Oh man. Yeah, no, this is a fun one. So we'll be back to talk about The Visitation next week. In the meantime, go check out duelinggenre.com. Go check out our minute shows. Cassandra has Lord of the Rings minute.
Yeah.
I have Spider-Man minute, and Nick and I have the Cornetto minute, where we're talking about our other favorite British thing, which is Edgar Wright movies.
Exciting.
So go check out those things.